Welcome to Go Rangers Radio, where the New York Rangers are always the talk of the town. If you bleed red, white, and Rangers blue, hail the king, follow the bread man, and know how to spell Capo Caco, then you've tuned to the right place. And now, here are your handsome hosts, Kevin DeLury and Paul Cuthbert. They're not always going to get it right, but you can be damn sure they'll pretend they are. Now, let's go Rangers Radio.
Yeah, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Go Rangers Radio! Broadcasting live from the Go Hockey Media Studios in New York, baby! Yours truly, Mr. Paul Cuthbert, and everybody, please welcome back your friend of mine, Mr. Kevin DeLury. KD, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. It's good to be talking to you again. Life is getting a little crazy out there, so it's good to be back on the show and talk a little bit of hockey and have somewhat of normalcy back in the life for at least maybe an hour or so.
Well, it's a good week to come back, buddy, because 700 years ago, the New York Rangers won a Stanley Cup championship in the bright lights of Madison Square Garden on Broadway in 1994. And we're watching all the dusty old MSG film work, seeing all the old rusty newspapers as we reminisce of days gone by and the glory that we used to celebrate. Ain't that fun, buddy?
No, I hate to be a party pooper about it, and I tweeted about it today when you would put out the promo for the show. I'm sick of 94. I'm going to be honest with you. I've had enough. I mean, we have beaten this horse to death. I'm a Ranger fan and a Mets fan. Like, I am so sick of 94 and 86. Like, it's not even fun for me anymore. Like, I'm over it. I need another championship. But look, I get that the Rangers, they had the Cup final, in 2014, and that was great. It was an awesome run, but I need a cup. Like, I can't live, this one's going to last a lifetime. No, it's not, because I need another one, Paulie. And, it is great, I guess, seeing the 94 stuff, but I've had enough. Like, how many times have you seen all these games already? Like, and it's, around this time again, and everyone gets nostalgic, and, Messier and Richter and all that stuff, and it is great, but I need something, man. I need another championship. I need it.
Little did we know, Sam Rosen, the soothsayer, would say this will last a lifetime. And we're still
you think he ever regrets he said that? Because you just see so many Ranger fans sort of lament it sometimes, like, oh, it's gonna have to last a lifetime. Because I bet you think people see him and give him crap about that.
Well, I'll be the first one to say I rolled around on the floor and I was like, if this does last a lifetime,
oh, of course,
at least I lived through it. I was
That's
here.
Right.
But now I agree with you, man. Look,
the way things are going, we're heading for another 54 years. It's crazy. But what's going to happen is that if the NHL actually does get started again, which, hey, look, it's heading in the right direction. The Rangers are going to win this thing, and there's going to be a big fat asterisk next to it, and people are going to say they're not really the Stanley Cup. We can't really.
I don't care. You know what I will do? I will march down Broadway with a silver asterisk over my head, and I will hoist that thing. Stanley Cup in one hand and asterisk in the other. I don't care, man. They played almost 70 games. This is if and when the puck drops and this tournament happens, it's going to be one of the most. It should be without the fans. I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know how exciting that's going to be, but it's going to be a tough road to get it. I'll screw that. If they win this parade, I'll have 2 parades. I don't care to win.
Have you been watching any of the other sports without any crowds? Like I was ESPN's been playing broadcasting boxing. It is weird. And they're not boxing in the arenas in Las Vegas and MGM Grand or anything. They're in a room. They just they're in this. Yeah, seriously, it's like they're in my like bedroom or something, this small little room, and there's no noise, and it is definitely bizarre. Like I want to watch it, like I start watching it because I just need live sports, and I'm like, and I turn it off because I mean I'm not a huge boxing fan either. When I was younger, I used to love boxing. I think most people like boxing is just not interesting anymore. You just don't have the personalities anymore and the big fights and the way it was when we were younger. But yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes. I guess soccer has started up. I haven't seen any of the soccer matches, and I don't think they have any crowds, so I haven't really checked that out. I'm not a big soccer fan either, but yeah, it'll be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the Premier League is coming back. I am a diehard Manchester United fan.
Okay.
And I'm gonna check in. I mean, I haven't had a reason really to check in on any sports because there really hasn't been anything on that interests me, So,
yeah, they had the golf, but golf is it's quiet anyway, so you really can't tell that it's any different. When they're shooting, obviously you get the roar of the crowd on a after they shoot, after they hit a nice shot, but other than that, yeah, you really haven't had it. They have the Korean baseball stuff, but I haven't. That stuff's on at like 3 a.m, so I haven't really caught any of that either. So,
well, you gotta love what they're doing. They're putting stuffed animals in the stands.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it actually and it looks funny like on the TV because you just see all the things, and it actually like it sort of like brings you into the game, and you're like thinking like you're not really noticing it's stuffed animal, just like there's something back there. It sort of brings your mind into watching games again and the way it used to be. So I actually think that's a great idea. I think it's hysterical.
Well, I mean, if we get this tournament underway for the NHL, right? So all of us have been there, right? And we've talked about this on previous episodes, playing in beer leagues and deck hockey leagues and everything else. And especially if you played bar league ice hockey, and that like there's nobody in the stands, and the sound of the puck hitting the boards. It's going to be loud and just echoey and everything else. So at least most diehard hockey fans who have played the game, at least will be able to relate to the quietness of the game. I imagine it's going to be interesting to see how the players deal with that, not having that energy of the crowd, either getting under a player that they hate or a bad play or, when they score a big goal. I mean, can you imagine, like, they get into the second round and it's like the game-winning goal to advance to the conference championships, and the only people that are clapping are, like, the guys on the bench and the equipment team and everything else. But I guess at the end of it, maybe it just doesn't matter. I don't know. I'm trying to picture – a lot of times I'll listen to the game on the radio, whether we're working, we're out or something. I remember as a kid, always listening to the Ranger games, in the 90s, if I was, working in a grocery store, whatever the hell I was doing, we would listen to the game on the radio. And you don't really hear the crowd too much on the radio, so maybe that aspect of it. But either way, for us watching the game, it'll be weird not to see anybody in the stands. But I'd have to say as a player, feeding off the energy and everything else, and the only people that are going to be basically in the arena are just going to be both teams. And like I said, we can all kind of maybe go back in time and picture ourselves on a bench in a bar league and remembering how quiet that is.
Yeah, and you hear a lot of players all the time talk about how they're able to block out sort of the crowd noise. And now it's really going to be blocked out because there's going to be none. But, it's definitely going to have an impact on the players, and we've discussed it. And for some, I think, that may have been intimidated by the moment and the big crowd and the intensity of what's going on in the building may not have that pressure on them now and may play a little looser and better. And those players that thrived on it, may have trouble getting up for those kind of games. So, yeah, it's really, at least in the first round, this sort of play-in round, you just have no idea what you're going to get. Between that and obviously the players being off for so long, it's great that they're going to have a little spring training or whatever before in preseason. But, you just don't even know, how these guys are going to react. A lot of these guys, you don't know if they've been practicing or not because they don't have access to a rink. Have they had access or not before even coming back? So you just don't know. The teams that were at the top of the league when this all ended. You just don't know how their play is going to react when they come back, which is, as a Ranger fan, it gives us hope that they could make a run here, because I think anything can happen here, which actually makes this so unique.
Yeah, well, look, let's just put it this way. As far as crowd noises, the hub cities, all the different looks and the feels that we're going to get to this, I don't care. I think if we get to the point as hockey fans and we get to watch this tournament, and hopefully as the next month and a half advances, with regards to where the virus is going, trending up, down, we're just starting the reopening here in New York on Long Island. We're still a couple of weeks away. Obviously, we had a lot of chaos the last 3 weeks. So there's a lot of things that we're going to have to sit back and watch and see what happens. And as far as the way the NHL put this process in place, as far as the guys coming in a little at a time, open up training camps and expanding the amount of numbers of guys and everything else, I think if it all works out and we get there and they drop the puck and the tournament starts, to me, I can't wait for it. And I'm just, we're just going to watch it because we just love the game, and obviously it counts. And it's
good. No, sorry to cut you off. I was going to say it's good.
You're not sorry. You've been cutting me off all
right.
night. Look at you. You're like Eddie Hospital or something. Just step in front of me, causing interference, or Ron Duguay. I mean, what the hell, man?
You know what it is? I think I'm just like a little rusty. It's we've only had like one show over the last like month or so. I don't know like the segues here to get in at the proper time. So I gotta see. I'm rusty. Look, I'm rusty on the podcast. Can you imagine how Zibanejad is going to be when he in his first game back?
He better be flying. No excuses.
But, and the thing with hockey, too, is it could have the spotlight. I mean, you see the NBA is having trouble potentially coming back. Some of the players are talking about not wanting to come back because of, everything going on with the George Floyd murder and, what they want to do as a league and what that's going to be. And you have the infighting in baseball with the players and the owners, and they're having trouble, although I saw today that they're close to an agreement. I don't know if it's happened yet or not. But, hockey could be the only thing going. So, they have a big opportunity to sort of showcase, their game. And I know there was some little bit of criticism from, what was the guy's name? Max Kellerman, where he's saying, hockey isn't in the top 4 or whatever it was. And, I almost tend to agree with him. I mean, if you look at the ratings, so, this would sort of be hockey's sort of time to shine. And it'll be interesting to see if they could bring in some more fans with this tournament.
Anything. It's not.
But people are so thirsty for sports. I think that they were. I'm telling you, I'm watching like boxing in my they're boxing in my bedroom, somewhere. So I mean, I think people are gonna tune in because it's live sports. I mean, all the drafts. They had the NFL draft broke.
What I'm trying to say, it's not going to change the NHL long term as far as.
No, I know. Once the other sports start up, and they will. It'll definitely take a back seat like it normally does.
Yeah, I mean that's and as far as Max and anybody
that's
else,
who said it, right?
Max. Yeah, exactly. We don't even know his name. That's how important he is. Some guy on some sports show, right? Look,
that's right.
I mean, hockey's always been a regional, sport. I mean, it can't. I mean. It's funny because they had talked about the possibility, about maybe changing the NHL season, to start in January. I don't know if you heard some of that talk with the way the potentially changing this and the carry over the season and everything else. And they were talking
for next year, not permanently.
For next year, and then and possibly just, maybe in the future, because they were thinking, from January through May, they wouldn't have to compete with the NFL.
Okay.
And so on and so forth. I mean, I don't know. It's all blah blah blah. As usual. But to me as a hockey fan, we grew up with it. It is the way it is. It's kind of part of our life as far as scheduling and the change of the seasons. Definitely here in New York, it's all part of it. But if they told me that they were going to move hockey one way or the other, it's not going to really, not going to really rub me the wrong way. I mean, I'm sure we're all looking forward to having some margaritas and watching hockey, with the TVs either on the beach or on the phones and the iPads or, in the backyard and everything.